Recording in progress.
Belleville Area District Library Board is now in session. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Too bad it wasn't. Regents.
Yeah.
And now, with our trustee secretary now here with us, we will call for the roll call from Alma, please. Call the roll, please.
Fleming,
Here.
Jeriga,
First.
Peters,
Here.
Priest,
Here.
Stoudemire,
Here.
Davids,
Absent, I talked with her today. I think she's intending to come, but I would excuse, I don't.
Hughes Groves here.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
we don't want to forget that. Well, good, we have a quorum and we can move on to approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Been moved by Stonemeyer and supported by Priest that the agenda be approved. Is there any discussion or questions or clarification? Hearing none. For all those approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by saying nay. The ayes have it and the agenda is approved. Next is the May 9th minutes.
So moved.
We have a motion from John Jeriga
Second.
and a support by Tanya Stonemeyer that the May 9th minutes be approved. And there we go. Okay, is there any question or comment or correction? Then all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by saying nay. The minutes have been approved unanimously. And now we come to public comment. And we have a kind of member of the public, but did you want to say anything at this time, Hillary? Okay, then we can move on to item 6, which is really the biggest meat of our meeting. Well, we're calling a public hearing, and I guess we have to adjourn.
Yeah.
For the public hearing.
You just need to call it open at 7:36 p.m.
Okay, we'll call this public hearing open at 7:37 p.m. And for the purpose of soliciting public comment on the budget that we are going to be considering tonight. Oh, but considering that no members of the public are here, does that mean we close the public hearing?
No. We've got to have a public hearing and then close it and vote on it later.
Well, we have to vote on the budget. For sure.
You've done it both ways in the past. We can discuss everything now and then vote on it. And close the public hearing and then vote on it if you want, or we can close the public hearing and discuss everything
During the
Yeah,
finance committee.
yeah. Voice coming, okay.
Good, so we'll have everybody here. Well, then I'm, either way is okay. Given that, I mean, it was duly, notice was duly given that there would be a public hearing. And so if people were interested in asking questions about our budget, they would, hi Joy, glad to have you here with us. So we will close the public hearing and go back into our regular session. And we will begin with committee reports and we will handle our budget when we get to the finance committee.
So 7:38.
39, let's give it that we had 2 minutes. Well, I guess we didn't, whatever. Whatever, we attend. And the bulk of our business, well, we have two committee, reports that need business, but the bulk of the business will be the budget. But we can start, as we always do, we'll just go down the list. And we will start with the building committee. We did hold a building committee meeting as we indicated we would last month. Our chair, Joy, was unable to attend that meeting, so I'll ask Director Suchi to speak to us about that meeting.
In this corner right here, this, I'm not feeling that good.
Okay.
You're not feeling real well?
I don't want,
Well,
yeah, just give us a right over here.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want you to stress yourself too if you're not feeling well. But we'll
See
see
how it goes.
we're glad. Having your laugh along with us, good. There you go.
Okay, the building committee met with, our architect to talk about the terrace. Which she assured us that the terrace was built to code, following all of the safety standards. That you cannot fall off the terrace by accident. That being said, Dan will follow up on some possible options for enhancing the railings, potentially making them taller. To see if there's anything that is feasible. I think it's virtually impossible to totally mitigate that, but he will look into potential options for us. But the terrace is open at this point.
And he said they were 42 inches, but they could be 60.
So
I wrote down.
he's gonna look into some options for us and report back.
And Dan has built $200 million worth of libraries. And
Mhm.
he's had other terraces like that, and nothing's ever happened. So,
Well, we did hold the meeting and had a good thorough discussion, and I'm just pleased that he's looking at options for us. I think that's helpful, and it was helpful that we were all able to, that the building committee was able to come together to do that. So I thank you. And I don't think I think that Mary Jo really covered everything we covered. So next is a bylaws committee, John.
no report.
And the finance committee, Tanya, this is the big deal tonight.
So, included in your, like a budget spreadsheet. So if you, starting with the first page, this is the 1 of 2 page. There are 6 columns there. So that first column are all of the revenues and the expenditures. That second column is last year's actual revenues and expenditures. The third column is this year's budget. The fourth column represents the budget amendment that was approved back in November. The fifth column is the proposed amendment that we will be voting on today for this year's budget. And then that last column is the 2023-24 proposed budget. So that's going to be the budget for the new year that starts on July 1st. So I'll kind of walk you through the totals here. So halfway down the page, you'll see the grand total for the revenues. And you'll see what the actuals were for fiscal year 22. Keep in mind, we were still not quite at our new normal. We approved a budget of $2,382,800 for the current fiscal year. However, in November, we didn't make any changes to the total. Here on the revenue side, the changes we made were on the expense side. But what we're doing today is we're proposing to amend that budget by adding, additional funding to the revenues. And the majority of that, looking at, is $35,000 that was increased, in the millage line, which is very top line under revenues, is millage. And you'll see that in the, amended budget for November, column 4, if you it was $2,265,000, and what we're proposing now is 2.3 million. And this increase is due to an increase in the property tax payment. And then moving on to that last column, column 6, this is the budget for next fiscal year, starts July 1st. And here we're again increasing what we're anticipating for our revenues. The increase is actually $164,000, and 160 of that again is tied back to the millage increase. So that kind of walks you through the revenues. Are there any questions? And for the expenditures, let's go to the second page. And near the bottom of this page, you'll see the grand total for expenditures. So again, you'll see that column 2 is what the actuals were for last fiscal year. Column 3 is what we approved for this fiscal year. Column 4 is the amendment that we did back in November. And then column 5 is an action item for tonight, where you'll see that there's a $4,000 increase in the budget. I believe the majority of that is related to payroll. And then column 6 is what we're proposing for next fiscal year. And here you'll see an increase of $177,440 over the current year. And if you go back to page 1, you'll see that the majority of that increase is in salaries and the related benefits. So there isn't really a lot going on here other than that. But those are the two things that I wanted to make sure we pointed out, was the increase in revenues, which is related to the millage, and then the increase in our expenditures, which is related to the salaries and staff costs.
We did increase books and materials by 25,000 to allow for library of things and digital media, adding to that.
Then at the bottom, the one thing I want to point out, which is in column 5, which is the 2022-23 proposed amendment. You'll see underneath the year-end fund balance, there's something called funds committed to the following fiscal year. And there's $1,150,000 there. This is part of our fund balance that we're actually going to be voting on tonight, so that we can move that money to next fiscal year. So that's another action item. And if you go to the bottom line, you'll see what our fund balance is. And what we're proposing as far as for the next fiscal year is about a $3.4 million. And we kind of talked to, when we had a meeting, we kind of talked about those dollars would be available for future capital expenses, like maybe furniture, computers, other equipment. So, and probably in the future, we'll be coming back to this body to actually set aside dollars specifically for those purposes. But that will be a policy question. I want to write up a policy statement where a certain percentage of these dollars every year will set aside for those purposes, but that'll be later in the fall. On the next page is the capital projects fund budget, and you will see that we are finally closing out the capital budget, so, which is great news. I do want to point out, though, near the bottom under expenditures, you'll see transfer out to the debt service fund. And there's the 732,078 amount. If you flip to the next page, you'll see that that carries over into our debt retirement fund budget. So our revenues, that same 732,078 is now a revenue, that's gonna be reflected in our proposed budget. And this is the budget that pays our debt. So in the end, at the bottom, you will see that we have a fund balance of 306,125, and those funds will be available for the November 2020 debt.
Really, we're all grateful to Tanya and Joy, and of course, Mary Jo, for working through this budget over the last several weeks to make sure that we have everything straight so that we start the new fiscal, in the current fiscal year appropriately, and start the new fiscal year with a workable budget.
Circling back to the staff budget, this will allow us to add a position.
A librarian?
Yes.
Is there a specific type of librarian you're looking to add, or are you?
What department?
We're still working out the details with adult services and outreach.
Okay.
There are actually 3 items that we need to vote on tonight related to this budget. The first would be approving the 23-24 budget, because the budget that starts in July.
So that would be the proposed count.
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the 2023-24 budget.
I'll second that.
Been moved by Tehavitz and supported by Jariga that the 2023-2024 budget for the Belleville Area District Library be approved.
The next action item is approving the budget amendment to the current year's budget, 22-23 budget.
So moved.
Seconded.
Been moved by Jariga and supported by Priest that the 2023 budget amendment be approved.
And Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to commit $1,150,000 of the 2022 collected library millage that is in fund balance for use in the 2023 fiscal year's general fund appropriations for GASB number 54.
Oh, she can do that one.
That Gatsby thing.
I'll second that.
It was moved by Stoudemire and supported by Jariga that the GASB amendment be adopted, which governs our fund balance, keeps us straight. So we have 3 motions on the table, and can we move them together? We have to do 3 separate votes.
We already did.
You haven't voted on it.
We haven't voted on any of them yet. Can we vote the 3 of them together? Who's our rule keeper? Well,
You could probably do it together, but you've always done it.
all right. Well, then we have 3 motions on the table, which is rare that we have them all on the table at the same time, but we will take them one at a time and vote them. So the first motion was on approval of the proposed 2023-24 budget. Are there comments or questions before we take the vote? Then all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying no. There are no nays. The budget passes for 2023-24 with no dissenting votes. Next was our motion properly made and seconded on the proposed budget amendment for 2023. And it is properly moved and seconded. So if there are questions or comments, Then, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying no. The motion has carried with no dissenting votes. And then the final one is the fund balance allocation for the GASB 54, which finance people understand better than I do. And are there any questions or comments? It's probably moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying no. There are no dissenting votes in that one either. So we have approved A, B, and C on our agenda. And are there any other finance committee issues we need to talk about? Okay. Then we will I again thank the finance committee. I hope, did Joy say she wasn't quite feeling well?
Yes.
Yeah, I hope she's okay. But and we can move on to the marketing committee, and I don't know if there is a report for the marketing committee.
No, I think the report.
Okay, there has not been activity in the marketing committee this month. Personnel?
No report.
Okay. Now, policy, I will call on Dan Fleming, and you have the materials, policy, a material selection policy proposal, in your packet. So we'll have a little discussion on that.
Yeah, this was the policy that we went over. Really was in March, if I'm not mistaken, and we brought it to the committee and talked about it a little bit at that point, but then we still wanted to get some feedback from some of our legal help, and so we've gotten that back, and they have agreed to whatever changes that we made to the policy. And so everybody's got a copy of the update, and hopefully had the opportunity to take a look at it. I mean, we just done some wordsmithing to it. Not a whole lot of changes, just kind of cleaned it up a little bit. But the legal took a look at it and agreed to everything that we made the changes to, so I guess it's a question.
And we will be also approving this,
It's the whole thing, it's a package.
they go
Yeah,
together, and
yeah.
in the end of this second one is the request, is the form that we'll be approving for request for reconsideration of library material.
I think you did a really good job. It's very clear. And that's really gonna be helpful, I think.
Mary Jo gets all the benefits. She made it work.
Well,
You needed your moral support.
Okay.
yeah, and guidance.
This will replace our existing collection development policy. It just renames it. A lot of the main structure, I think, is very similar to what we have already.
We just cleaned it up a little bit as we went through it. Nothing dramatic.
Well, you know, in the several years that we've been so focused on the new library, we have not had the opportunity to really look at some of these kind of foundational pieces of how we operate. So I really appreciate that we are able to get to that this year and move it along. And I think we are at this point, we did discuss it pretty fully, and you know, the committee discussed it, and then it has been reviewed and approved by legal counsel. So if people are ready, we can.
Madam Chair, I make the motion that the material selection policy be accepted as read.
It was moved by trustee Juriga and supported by trustee Priest that the material selection policy, proposed material selection policy be adopted. So, Hearing or seeing no additional comments or questions, we'll move the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying no. The policy is approved with no dissenting votes. And then our last item is the art committee, and while the art committee chair, Michelle Montour, is not here tonight, she has remained busy, and she did communicate to all of us on the art committee that she has met with Doug Peters who was one of the founders of our art committee and has really helped us to develop our art policy and develop, as I'm gonna say, we could develop our art collection as well. He is suggesting 4 paintings for donation, for us to use, for a loan, for us to use in our quiet reading room right down here, down the hall, which we've all agreed it would be a good place for some peaceful art. And I know I particularly liked 2 of them because they had water themes, which is peaceful and quiet. All of them were good. Michelle is gonna measure and make some recommendations on how many of them we can actually use and where we might place them. And I believe she said in her email, the email was just yesterday, but I believe she said she was coming over today or tomorrow sometime in the near future. So the art committee remains busy and helps us to make our building even more enjoyable than it already is. And is there anything else on that? Anybody else that read the? You read it, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So I think that takes care of our committee reports unless anybody has anything to add or put forth. Moving right along today. So I guess we move on to accounts payable. And we have our accounts payable in our packet. It's kind of the usual list. But if there are any things on here that aren't clear to everyone, please ask. There's some reimbursements to staff members for various job-related expenditures. And then bills to our many vendors, payments to our many vendors. And once again, the elevator company.
I'm sure I motion that we approve the accounts payable report as received.
I'll second that.
It has been moved by Stonemeyer and supported by Jarita that we approve the accounts payable for this month. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed by saying no. There are no dissenting votes, and that motion is approved. So that takes care of all the motions and action items. Now we have some of our favorite discussion items, and we will start with our director's report.
We are very excited about our summer programs that are coming up, and I put a whole bunch of handouts in your board pack that show some of the programs that we are having. We have programs for all ages, birth through over 100. Some people are beginning to sign up for this now. This is the first year that our youth services librarians were able to go and do school assemblies again in the schools since COVID. So they were very excited to be able to get back into the schools in that way. For all of you grown-ups, there's an adult summer reading program, so you don't have to miss out on some of the fun. There are prizes for you too.
Oh boy.
And activities, so a lot to do.
There's a lot of teen and,
Yeah.
and,
And the teen activities, we've kind of revamped some of the programming. We're doing some that are like a little bit more of an all ages group rather than in past years where we have the different age levels. And then I have a couple of handouts about a program that's going to be happening once summer reading program is winding down. We are having a comic fest on Saturday, August 5th at our library. We're gonna be requesting a street closure from the city, closing 4th Street Place. Hoping to have some food vendors, food trucks. And this is a program that the Ann Arbor District Library does something like this somewhere. I think they might have been celebrating I don't know if they celebrated their 10-year anniversary doing this last year or recently. And it's highly successful. So this is a comic, kind of like Comic-Con, yeah. Geared for, family friendly, geared for the younger age groups, so. So first year we're doing this, but we're very excited about it, so I think this promises to be something, that we can hopefully look forward to for years to come.
I have to reach out to the comic, fans in my family. I've got a lot of them. That'd be a good reason for them to come home and see grandma.
So, and we kind of briefly alluded to it when we were talking about the budget, but our staff has been working, and Hillary's been working very, very hard on this too. Kind of helping spearhead it. We're planning a library of things collection. And I'm sorry that Joy had to step out because her library has one at the Ipsy District Library, and it's very successful. Many other libraries are starting to do this, where we loan out items that you don't use all of the time, you don't use every day, every once in a while you need. So Ann Arbor has one, yeah, so tools, office materials, certain kitchen supplies, science kits. So some examples include ukuleles, cookie cutters, binoculars, paper cutters,
That's a great idea.
button maker, things like that. So we're still kind of sorting through it. There's a lot involved in this. There are literally a lot of moving pieces to a collection like this. So figuring out how to collect them, how to store them, display them, maintain them, clean items when they come back. So, we're kind of gonna be rolling this out slowly, but I think this will be
Take donations.
enjoyable.
People might want to make.
Are we gonna take donations, Hillary?
I mean, let's say.
Maybe.
Well,
Okay.
the question is, it stuff that's owned by the library, or is this?
Yes.
The idea is that the library purchases it and then they loan it out to people who need it. Oh, wireless hotspot is also in the library. So,
And that we already are very actively loaning.
Like I have a button machine,
Okay.
it
but
would,
I don't,
You don't
for my
use-
kids.
We would be,
Fine.
we would be interested in
Okay.
it
evaluating
would
it, sure.
fall under our materials.
Selection policy. we just-
I got a lot of the button, stacks for button things too,
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
great.
so- okay.
Well, I've seen that in other libraries, especially, I think I've noticed it in Ann Arbor. I am always happy to see us do all the things that we can do, and our staff is always thinking up things. So I'm assuming Hillary came to visit with us tonight on this topic, or you've got something else?
She just likes us,
She just wants to be, well, there was a time when I first started, the deputy director came to all these meetings, so. I'm just glad that Hillary is here at this one. And this deputy director has been coming, that particular deputy director has been coming to all the meetings now. That Mary Jo. She keeps with us. So, well, great. Are there questions?
Did I miss anything about? The collection? Yeah.
No,
Okay.
everything's still very up in the air right now. We have started collecting for the bakeware collection, and that has already been started. Purchases have been made.
Where are you gonna store all this stuff?
There is room in the back. The shelving that's immediately behind the checkout desk, that's around the corner. We're using that. We're using, someone used all the filing cabinets, so we're using those too.
What about gaming?
That's also one that we're looking into. We've opened it up to any staff who is interested in joining this group this group of purchasers can join. So since January, people have been coming up with lists of items that they thought would be good for whatever their chosen topic was. Games, board games, and lawn games
I
are
was
in there.
thinking about electronic games.
Electronic games.
Sports equipment,
Mm-hmm.
golf clubs.
You're thinking video games? Yes, video game
Expensive,
collections
though.
can be very popular, also extremely expensive.
Yeah.
And I would think there would be a problem of maintaining them.
Well, I was just thinking about the games themselves, not the consoles or the hardware. I'm just talking about the actual games. I mean,
Don't we
What's the-
already do those?
No.
once the kids use them and beat them, it's like they have no
Yeah.
use for them anymore. They just
Right.
sit and collect dust and,
Yeah,
Save the parents from the, remember those days?
well, it's just a thought.
no, it's a
idea.
good one.
I have some materials.
So I did not give you any articles this month because I knew you had a lot of homework this month with the budget to read through and the field selection policy to read through, so.
And our
Maybe a
director
little-
had,
little break.
our director had a lot of heavy lifting this month to get that budget together. So maybe she didn't have time to do her regular reading.
Even brought the calculator to the meeting, but we didn't. do
Just
that.
in case, just in case we delve any further. Well, it is, as usual, a very thorough report and a very interesting one for us to. And it is, and I think for all of us, a favorite time of our meetings. We can just discuss what are we doing in our library and what's been going on and what has been working, and also our staffing and all of that. We don't have any. Yeah, oh, yeah, we
We added a shelving page.
now, what about, and we have a
We
circulation.
just added a new search staff member today, so I didn't hit my report yet.
I think,
but-
I met.
Lisa,
her, yeah.
She's the one being trained, right?
Yeah,
trained
she's right
right
down,
now,
yeah.
I'll talk about her next month, but
Okay. I think she was in here, oh, she'll be on the list next
Yep.
month, but she's actually here today. Okey dokey. Well, good, thank you so much. Then we are getting ready for the big closeout. Our board, if we have comments that Joy, we just talked about the fact that we're looking at starting a library of things.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah,
It's heavily used.
yeah.
I'm gonna go.
You need to go.
Oh.
Yeah, we'd rather have
Feel
you.
better.
Yeah, we'd
And
rather have you be able to
spread.
take care of yourself.
Whatever's going on.
We're really glad that you came.
Right.
Go feel better.
Like the library experience, it's cool.
Bless
It
you.
goes in all.
Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye. Yeah. Trustee comments. Anybody wanna, John has something to say,
June
our
the ninth-
birthday,
June
one
the
of our
ninth.
birthday boys,
June the 19th is, how do you pronounce that?
Juneteenth.
The library will be open. I think a very positive time. Also, this Thursday, Music in the Park will start. And the concerts at 5, or I lied, 7 to 9. I don't know who to do, I forgot.
Oh, okay,
It's a free
I was
concert.
wondering when they were starting.
Free concert, yeah.
Yeah, and that goes along with, before we started, we talked about that the farmer's market has started up on Mondays.
Yeah.
So these usual weekly things, little town gets quite lively in the summer nowadays.
East of Belleville.
Belleville's gonna be a
Yeah.
happening place this summer.
Well, yeah, and I'd just like to add on to that. I mean, that was kind of my thought too, with summer coming on, lots of people out and about. I mean, if you really were looking to extend your free concerts, I know the Van Buren Township, they've got free concerts in Harris Park on a Wednesday.
Oh,
And you
oh,
could
that might
certainly
be
come here on
interesting.
a Thursday.
Yeah,
I think there's also free music at Wayne County Community College, there's music there that's free also. So, and I think there's one or two concerts that they're actually gonna have in Van Buren Park. So there's a lot going on, summer in Belleville, as well as,
There's the hydroplane races.
the hydroplane races, so there's a
See
lot.
the boat?
I did see it, yeah, it looked very cool.
Yeah.
was that the boat that he had sitting out
Yeah,
there?
over
that-
by, bait shop.
Yeah, in front,
Mhm.
in Scott Jones, development.
So that I guess is my thought, is just that a lot of activity, and I'm sure people.
I'm glad you mentioned the Harris Park, have they done that before?
I don't think they've done it before, they have had one concert there already, last week was their start,
Okay.
and so I believe it's every Wednesday this month. Don't quote me on that, but.
And you think, what, is it 7 o'clock, or do you know?
um,
We'll find
I
out.
do know.
Nice to note.
7 o'clock. And it just so happens there's a 7, according to my record, a concert at Wayne County Community College at 7 o'clock. So obviously sponsored by different people, but same time.
So, yeah, you can
Pick your
be active, yeah.
spot.
Yeah, I mean, that's great, that's great. Well, thank you. Tanya?
So I just want to thank Mary Jo for putting the budget together, I really appreciate that. I know Joy's not here, but I'm grateful that she was able to make our meeting, and we were able to go through everything very thoroughly, and Mary Jo answered the questions I still have today on the budget, so she does an excellent job, and she really makes it very easy for me, so thank you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you all three of you for that work. That's serious heavy lifting. Linda or Alma, Alma, you ready to go?
Yeah, I was just gonna kind of ditto what Tanya just said, thank you to Mary Jo and you as well. The finance committee for putting the budget together and making it as user friendly as possible.
Thank you. Linda.
I went to another movie last week, and The Lady Eve with Barbara Stanwyck, and we just had a great time. And a lot of people turned out.
I was wondering
And,
how well attended was
It was very well attended, and people in the audience talked about continuing it. And I think there's a real appetite for this type of thing, and I'm hoping we can continue it. And
But that was the last one for this season. for this
yes,
set.
but he seemed really, the person who was, John, really thought it could be continued, he would want to do it, so I think. Mary Jo thinks it's a good idea.
Everybody gave suggested titles, everybody in the audience, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to get people out, in the middle of the week, at night, and so people turned out and stayed the whole time. And he answers all the questions,
And sets
very enthusiastic.
a good framework, or a good context for understanding the film or getting more out of it.
We ended up going to Redford where the Redford
Oh.
Theater, the next night. They had Back to the Future. I didn't really want to see the movie that much, but just to see the theater that
Oh.
he is a part of, and it is a really cool thing.
You and Randy
So,
went,
yeah.
did others from the community go too?
No, but it was
Uh-huh.
packed. I mean, not that I saw, just us. So,
Oh, great.
anyway, something you should all think about doing. I know you were there, weren't you, John?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I really am pleased. So now that's everybody. I just want to say I'm pleased at the, not just all the library services, but these wider services, which like the film, we're branching off in other areas. And then also as summer goes and these, the Lake Fest comes the end of this month. That's the last weekend of June. And that's located, its location highlights our library, and we're really able to, I feel like there's a cultural, growth going on in our community, and we're certainly at the center of it. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate all the work that's gone on and that we are able to have a good library meeting and potentially end it at 8:20.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that this meeting be adjourned.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Jerica and supported by Creasy that this meeting be adjourned. We're all in favor.
Good meeting, Madam Chair.
Thank you all.